All right, friends, let's settle in. Welcome to our meditation time together. I would invite you just to find some comfort where you are. Just draw yourself away from all the activity in the house or in the space where you are, and bring your attention and your focus to your breath. Let's start there. Just start to notice the way the breath feels. Notice your ability to slow it down, to deepen it. And as you connect to the breath, connect to the space where you are. Not so much the larger room or the larger area, but that space right where you are seated or lying down. Feel the safety and the security of it. And then just rest in it. One breath at a time. And the last time we were together, I started this conversation about why do we meditate. And I really want to spend the next several times that we're together just looking at the impact of our practice. We know there's an impact. We feel it. We experience it. But sometimes it's really good to bring that impact and the realization of it into our practice, to solidify our reason for showing up, to reassure ourselves that we're not doing it wrong and that it's impossible to do it wrong. And so I would just ask you just to settle in and have an open mind. And then we'll allow this open mind to create an open heart and an open spirit. And I want to start off these few minutes that we have just recognizing the things that life brings us. First and foremost, life brings us joy. It brings us harmony. It brings us togetherness. And so I would invite you, and I'll do the same, just picture to yourself, what do joy or harmony or togetherness look like to you? When I say joy, what do you see? The word harmony, what image do you get? Togetherness, what does that look like for you? And just know those are parts of this experience of life, of this being human. But I also want to recognize that life brings times of struggle. It brings loneliness. It brings fear. In the same way you pictured the others, I would ask you and ask myself, what does the times of struggle look like for you currently or most recently? What do you see when you hear the word loneliness? What do you picture when it comes to fear? And again, this is the human experience. Our meditation practice does not increase the likelihood of one or either of those. Life brings us joy, and it brings us times of struggle. Life brings us harmony, and it brings us times of loneliness. Life brings us togetherness, and it also brings us times of fear. And so let's just each, as we recognize that, just be okay with it. Learn to sit with it. And for each of us individually, if this is a time of struggle, just sit quietly with it for just the next few breaths. In the same way, if this is a time of joy that you're experiencing right now, sit with that. Breathe through it. Because you see, that is what our meditation practice gives us. It gives us the ability to sit with life. Whether this phase or this day is a time of the struggle, or the harmony. Your meditation practice lets you practice sitting with it. And so I want to pause for just a moment, and each of us just sit with it. I invited you to get comfortable in your physical space where you are, and now I will ask you just get comfortable with just sitting with it. And then I would propose that the same sensation that's allowing you to sit and be, that's the anchor of meditation. And in this moment, it's anchoring us where we physically are. You found your way to your spot. You're grounded, you're safe, you're secure. But I propose, from the research I have gathered in the living of the experience, that anchor goes with us when we leave this space. That safety and that security that we feel right here in this moment goes with us as well. And then we go about our day. We go through our relationships. We experience our professional lives, our personal lives, traffic, dinner, all the parts of your day. And when that anchor stays with you, you learn to just sit with whatever the experience is. If the experience is traffic and it's frustrating, you just learn to sit with it. If the experience is dinner with people with whom you love spending time, in the same way, we learn to just sit with it. And somewhere along the way, that sitting with it becomes our ability to be in the present moment. That anchor keeps us here and now. And so just reflect for these next few breaths where this practice has brought you. For some of you, it's years and years in the making. Some, it's newer. But where has this practice brought you so that today, in this moment, you can just sit with whatever arises? And then there's one more part of this sitting with it, of this experience of life. It gives us the ability to tolerate whatever comes up next. And oftentimes the word tolerate gets kind of a negative connotation if we think we're just tolerating something by just ignoring it or just kind of hunkering down and doing whatever we have to do to push through. But I would like us to see tolerating it as being okay with whatever emotions arise, whatever way we begin to feel, and meeting all of that with loving kindness toward ourselves. I'm going to say that again. This concept of sitting with it, with the joy, the times of struggle, the dinner with people that we love, the moments of loneliness and quiet. We learn to tolerate whatever our emotional response is to those things, and we tolerate it with loving kindness. I've read so many great teachers who talk about this ability to tolerate things with kindness. And every one of them, there's not a single one that disagrees. Everyone says how you feel is valid. The emotions that are bubbling up inside of you as you sit with life are real, and they're to be embraced. And that's what I think they mean when I talk about this idea of tolerating it with loving kindness. So I would ask you, in your times of sitting with yourself, learning to be with whatever arises, how kind have you been to yourself lately? How do you feel about the emotions that you experience? Do you get frustrated with yourself? Do you beat yourself up? Do you, like I said in the very beginning, think you're doing something wrong by feeling the way that you're feeling? Our meditation practice, one of the best impacts of it is the full embrace of all the parts of us as we sit with this experience of life. For some of you, that resonates very clearly for where you are on the path right now. For some of you, that sounds really far away because the frustration is a little closer. But I will assure you that the more times we show up and we learn to sit with ourselves, the more we start to see that toleration as an act of loving kindness, embracing all the parts. When the joy comes, we embrace how it makes us feel. When the fear comes, we embrace how it makes us feel. When the loneliness lingers, we embrace how it makes us feel. And so let's practice that for these next couple of minutes, whichever, like I said, situation you found yourself in today, in these last few minutes. Just sit with it. Don't try to change it. Practice just being. Embracing it all with tolerance and loving kindness. Let's take a long, slow, deep breath in together. And then gently let it go. Long, slow breath in. Release it out. And as we prepare to close our time together, I encourage you that as you rise up from this physical space where you are, take the practice of sitting with life with you. Remember this space where you are now, the cushion, the chair, the bed, the floor, wherever you have found yourself. Remember this sensation right now and let it be your trigger to remind you when life brings whatever fills in the blank, you learn to sit with it and embrace it. your reactions to it, how you feel about it, with loving kindness. Namaste.